Dame Dash is back with more explosive details on Jay-Z's shady business dealings and his bizarre connection with culture vulture Lear Cohen. But hold on to your seats because it seems like Jay has finally hit his breaking point with Dame constantly dragging his name through the mud, and he's ready to spill the tea on his side of the story. But Dame isn't letting Jay silence him either. He's coming in hot with even more scandalous revelations about how Jay-Z didn't just throw him under the bus, but he and his mentor Leo Cohen allegedly trampled over many black artists to claw their way to the top of the music industry. Woo child, there's a lot to unpack here, so let's dive right in and spill the tea. A lot of people that have been mistreated by him are scared to speak up on what he did. Facts, I'm just not. So if I hit a pack, I hit him with some work and he runs off on me until I get my money back. I don't care. 20 years later, I'm never going to have too many complimentary things to say about that situation. So you know how Dame Dash and Jay-Z have been on the outs for ages? Well, according to Dame, it all boils down to Jay-Z aligning himself with folks like Lear Cohen, who profit off of black culture while also harming black artists. But Jay is now out here claiming that Dame tried to undermine him and was doing bad business. So he had to step down and clean up the mess. But let's rewind to the beginning. The story kicks off in 1995 when Jay was hustling, selling CDs out of his car, trying to get someone to give him a chance. After facing rejection from several major labels, Jay, along with his buddies Damon Dash and Kareem Bigsburg, decided to take matters into their own hands and launch their own indie label, Rockefeller Records. They quickly nailed down a distribution deal with Priority Records, and in 1996, Jay dropped his debut album, Reasonable Doubt. In the following years, Rockefeller, with Jay as its main act, teamed up with some of the hottest producers of the time, including Swizz Beatz, Timbaland, the 45 King, and Jermaine Dupri. But in 2000, Jay decided to switch up his sound and brought in a new line of producers including Kanye West, Just Blaze, and the Neptunes. While Jay remained at the face of Rockefeller, he and Dame began signing new talents like Cameron, Freeway, and a bunch of young Philly rappers who later formed the rap group State Property. But by 2002, whispers started circulating about some tension between Jay and Dame, especially after Dame reportedly tried to appoint Cameron as vice president of Rockefeller while Jay was away on vacation. Although both sides initially denied any beef, insiders claim Jay was annoyed by Dame's media presence, while Dame felt Jay was becoming too distant. Here's how one of the original Rockefeller artists, Beanie Sigel, broke it down. It's from conversations that me and Jay had. D started being famous, you know? Can't think him the Cameron, he fell victim to the camera. You know, you liable to say anything. You can beat anybody, or I think if Dame would have played the role as Kareem Burks did Kareem and just played the background and just handled the business correctly, maybe Rockefeller still would be, you know, the force that we was. But on the second, and I think Jay was growing, and in my eyes at a certain point in time, I just think he felt, you know, it's time for me to go ahead and do my own thing. We made enough money together. Anyway, by 2004, rumors about Rockefeller closing reached a boiling point, but Dame kept shutting down these rumors, and he told MTV at the time, "All that is paperwork will never break up. It's Rockefeller for life. I would never pass the torch or leave any of my artists. I look at them like my family, almost like my children. I would never leave them with anybody else." But little did Dame know that Jay had already decided the torch would be passed regardless, and he dropped a bombshell that he would succeed Lear Cohen as the president of Def Jam and that Def Jam would buy the other half of Rockefeller. Jay, Dame, and Biggs had already sold half of Rockefeller to Def Jam in 1997 for a reported $1.5 million, and then 7 years later in 2004, Def Jam bought the other half for $10 million and appointed Jay as the CEO in a deal that allowed him to continue to run Roc-A-Fella. Jay also claimed later in an interview with 2XL that he had offered to turn down the position at Def Jam and give up all masters in exchange for just his first album, Reasonable Doubt. So I was like, let me get Reasonable Doubt, and I'll give up my masters. Jay said, I'll give up Rockefeller. I'll give up president and CEO of Def Jam, everything. Just give me my baby to hold on to so 10 years down the line I can look back and I got something. I'm not empty-handed. And I was the one being offered everything. I thought it was more than fair. And when that was turned down, I had to make a choice. I'll leave that for the people to say what choice they would have made. That's about it. I don't really want to talk about Dame or Biggs. I don't have anything negative to say about them. We all bosses, but there's only one presidential suite. If we in a hotel, somebody got to move to another hotel. But when approached for comment, Dame and Biggs told 2XL they were disappointed that Jay kept the Rockefeller name, and they claimed he tried to use it as a bargaining chip to win full ownership of the masters to Reasonable Doubt, the one album they released before partnering with Def Jam. So after they sold their remaining shares in Rockefeller, Dame and Biggs started their own labels. But the drama didn't end there, because every Rockefeller artist had to choose which label they wanted to join, and some of them started publicly dissing Jay. Take Cameron, for example. He wasted no time in siding with Dame's label, Dash Music Group, and he claimed that Jay prevented him from taking on the role of vice president. But that's not all. In 2005, Cameron was during a botched carjacking, and he later alleged in the song Got to Love It, featuring Max B, that he saw the throw up Jay's signature diamond hand signal before Cam was fired. Now, as for Dame, he felt some type of way about Jay's sneaky business moves, because Jay always used to talk about how Rockefeller is family, and Dame actually believed him. But there's another reason Dame felt Jay betrayed the family. See, Dame felt like Jay had conspired with the culture vulture Lear Cohen and allowed him to come between them. Dame later claimed that people like Lear Cohen often use the divide and conquer strategy to start beef between black moguls and turn them against each other, because the last thing they want is for all black moguls and CEOs to be united and to work together. But when Leah's remarks went viral, Dame fired back on Instagram, saying that Leah basically proved his entire point. Dame wrote, "Thanks for this, Leah Cohen, for proving my point. In true culture vulture form, they make money off us and then try to erase our true history and act like the real ones never existed. He pays his bills at the expense of us." Now, as for Jay-Z, he's still BFFs with Leah to this day, and he often refers to him as his mentor. But there's one more side to this story that I want to briefly get into, and that's Jay-Z's friendship with R. Kelly and the whole situation with Aaliyah, because this was also one of the things that made Dame realize that Jay wasn't the person he portrayed himself to be in public. So both Dame and Jay-Z were interested in Aaliyah, but Aaliyah picked Dame, something that Jay's ego just couldn't handle. But before Aaliyah started dating Dame, she went through something horrific at the hands of R. Kelly. Kelly even illegally married Aaliyah in 1994 when he was 27 and she was 15 by using a fake ID.as for Aaliyah and Dame. They were friends first and dated for about a year until her tragic death in 2001. Dame later said that Aaliyah was so traumatized by her situation with R. Kelly that even when they were alone, she couldn't speak about what she went through, and all she could say was that R. Kelly was a bad man. Now, as for Jay-Z, he knew what R. Kelly did to Aaliyah, and yet just months after Aaliyah died, he partnered with R. Kelly on a joint album, The Best of Both Worlds. And this is when Dame realized Jay had no moral compass whatsoever. Anyway, Dame never stopped coming for Jay-Z, and he recently again opened up about their beef in a new interview on the Ugly Money podcast. Dame said that the reason he's still public speaking on his issues with Jay is that everyone else is too scared to say anything negative about Jay. And according